It's podcast recording day, so I'm setting up my little studio. I love getting the microphone out. There's something that says to me, right, it's about time to get on with this podcast recording when the mic comes out. Our third podcast episode went live online yesterday. Denise Meyerson, she's so energetic and fresh in her thinking. It was just a delight to have the conversation with her. And we've got a couple of guests coming up today who are similar levels of energy. One of the things I love about a lot of the guests that we've spoken to on the podcast is that they're willing to give things a go, to be a little bit courageous, to try something new and push the boundaries a little bit. Those stories are particularly energising. Of course, along with the podcast, I've got a couple of other things going on. I'm still in the background working on my virtual conference presentation for next week. I'm in the midst of preparing for my workshop on Friday. And I've just had a really fabulous conversation with Craig Kammermar from Griffith University. He's on the working group for definition of the resource management skill. And we talked about it, and there's some really good thinking we can bring to it. We can make it a bit sexy again. So we're talking about people, equipment and facilities here, and the kind of shifts that we want to build in are things like customer centricity and creating an end-to-end seamless customer experience, about getting involved in design early, and about automation. So this workspace, my headspace may sound a bit chaotic at the moment, but it's not. I've got a few things really starting to come together very nicely. I've been thinking about things, moving in and out of them, and now it's pulling a lot together. So I'm all set up now, ready to go in 10 minutes. I've got Zoom ready to launch. That's the tool we use to record. My mic's all set in and good to go. I've got the run sheet that Karen and I have done up with questions for today's guest. I've got my notebook ready to jot down things to follow up on during the discussion, as well as resources to add to the show notes, and the all-important glass of water. We record on Zoom, but we turn the videos off, and then what we do is we take the audio file and we have that transcribed. So here's an example of a transcription from a previous podcast recording that I now need to go through. I was the lead host for this one, and highlight any editing notes for Amanda. So in terms of publishing the podcast, there's another couple of things that I, as one of the lead hosts, have to do to help Amanda to get everything published. One of those is just to highlight, we like to do a little teaser video, which we use for promotion, a short snippets video, which we put out in the week before the episode. So I highlight what I want included in that, so Amanda can edit the teaser audio. And we also do up show notes using a template. We have an episode title, a bit of an overview, a link to the guest's LinkedIn profile, and some additional resources to include. Then we have a landing page on the Learning Experts website where each episode is published to. You can see all of the information from the show notes makes its way into this particular page, as well as each episode being published on iTunes along with a couple of other platforms. So we're up to episode 4 being published now, which you can view in iTunes. I download. Meanwhile, in the background, my newsletter has actually been published. This is the final published version, so I'm going to do a little happy dance about that. Interested to see what feedback I get. After recording 2 podcast sessions, having 2 half-hour video conference meetings on working groups for the Learning Performance Institute Capability Map, and a half-hour ad hoc mentoring session where I was being mentored, which was awesome, it was definitely time for a break. So here I am at the gym, pumping weights, working out, trying to reinvigorate myself because I need to go home and have another push on my preparation for Friday's workshop.